Can you tell us what the engineering is and what kind of things does it call out, for example?
Well, the engineering tells you how they want the rebar placed.
So you didn't make up the place. The engineer said, hey, you should do this and do it in this size, right?
You guys got a geotech out here, and then from there, you know, he got his ideas of, okay, well, this foundation should be this size rebar in the beams. For example, here's the number 5s inside the beams, top and bottom, and then the stirrups are placed every 2 feet. The top mat that calls for a number 4, 16 on centers, which on centers means every 16 inches, no matter which way you measure. It also tells you, you know, how many corner bars per each corner, but it's typical. You know, if you got 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. It also specifies if the form is a certain height, he wants you to add some more mid heights, which is more rebars in the middle of these 2 top and the 2 bottom ones. So it's just the way that he wants his slab to be set up, so he can guarantee you that the slab has been done correctly.
Yeah, so we rely heavily on the engineer to lay out for us the depth of the beams, the type of rebar. He's basing off the real conditions of the soils, right? And before you even pour, right, the engineer has to come out.
Yeah, he has to come out here, check that everything's the way he designed it on the plan, and once he sees that everything is good, then that's fine. I mean, you know, sometimes you might need to tweak something. He might say, oh, hey, even though it doesn't call for it on the plan, I suggest you put some more extra rebar here. Like for example, these here, these diagonals, I mean, they're made, I mean, they're put in here because concrete cracks, and where it's most prone to cracking is in corners. So that's where a crack would start. And those diagonals there, they're placed there so they can mitigate the cracks, you know.
That's extra support, maybe try to reduce the cracks a little bit. Okay, so when you say drops and floaters, what does that mean?
A lot of people call them drops. You know, we just call them floaters. A lot of people call them floaters as well, just because they look like they're floating, right?
Yeah, they're inside the slab in the beam and temporary kind of stuff, right? So what's the purpose of this?
So that's just, these are installed mostly where, you know, where the slab doesn't necessarily stop, but then there's actually a drop for like a patio. That's why these are for. So here's the end of the finished floor, and then you drop about 1.5 inches below for your patio, and then you slope back that way.
And you know, just thinking about why that's important, you know, as builders, we want to do the best job we can, and contractors for foundation, to make sure water doesn't get inside the house, right? And so you mentioned an exterior patio usually has a floater or a drop, and you need that slope, right? Main reason is because of water, right?
Yeah.
How does that slope help the water run off, right?
Yeah, so I mean, for water to pitch wherever you want it to pitch, you need a minimum of 1%. But that, to me, I mean,
1% slope.
1% slope. But to me, I don't know, that's not, you know, we try not to go with the minimum requirements. You know, we always try to do more. So what we do here is we started at 1.5 inches, and depending on the size of the patio, you don't want it to be, you know, kind of too slow, because then, you know, people are not gonna like walking. You know, you'll feel it.
Yeah, you don't want to go too crazy either, right?
Yeah. So what we do is, like, on something this small, we do about 1.5 inches slope, which is more than enough.
And you can tell right here that you have these floaters here. So basically, this is where the foundation of the house and then the foundation for the patio starts, right? Yep. And that's a floating. You know, one thing that's really popular right now, and is really convenient, is a drop-in shower, right?
Yeah.
A drop-in shower is basically when you go into a shower and then you don't have to step over any. But of course, you gotta plan that ahead and have it ready up for the foundation. Can you show us how you get that ready for a zero entry shower?
So what we do is whenever we're digging the beams, we look at the details of where the shower is going to be.
This is the shower, right? Yep.
And then so what we do is we dig a little bit more. So by the time that we finish digging for the shower, instead of having 4.5 inches, now we have 8 inches below the top of slab. That's because you drop about 3.5 for the drop-in shower, and then you still have your concrete thickness that is required. So that's mostly.
So you meet both of your requirements. You have the minimum concrete amount, and then you also still have your drop. And so that's what this is, right? This wood here, where now when your guys are shooting the concrete, you're shooting concrete here, but then this tells you something, right? Oh, hey, I can't shoot. I can to the bottom of the form. Is that right? I can only yeah. So you'll only get it to the bottom of the form here, and that's why you drop the beam. I can even see this rebar right here, which is kind of cool. You see this rebar here is like bent. Can you tell us why that's bent like that?
I mean, that's been just because of if you can't really bring the rebar at the same height just because it drops there. So you have to bend it, yeah.
So the engineered rebar is also going with that shower, right? And so once it's all poured, then you take these forms out, and then you have a drop shower where now your towel guy can and your fiberglass guy can waterproof it. Then your towel guy can come in and do a slope on it. That way it's still flat, but underneath the towel there's a slope, and the water can continue to run to this drain. Yeah, I just think it's a very cool detail because, you know, those are some things that you have to really consider before pouring the foundation, right? And if you were to do it later, then you would have to chip out and cut rebar, and it'll just get kind of messy, right? Nobody wants to do all that. Yeah, cool. You know, how long have you been doing this, Agustin?
Yeah, well, I mean, my dad and my uncle, they all, you know, they did concrete, so, and we've been doing concrete ever since we got out of high school, so, you know, it just...
Yeah. You know, what are some things you see like beginners, you know, that, you know, maybe they don't do foundation as a living, but they'll get a foundation job. What are some couple things that you see them do wrong on jobs?
Well, the first thing, we've had to go and fix a lot of foundations, you know, that...
Okay, that's part of, they call you, hey, you gotta come fix this.
We have this job for you that somebody else did it, and, you know, I mean, they either abandoned it because they ran out of, they went over their budget, which, you know, they probably bid low, or they just weren't doing the job correctly. So you can tell because once you get to the job site, the first thing is the forms. You can tell how, you know, if they're straight, you know, a good contractor is gonna have good looking forms, or really something that looks presentable from when you walk on site, you know. So you can see forms are level, they're straight. That's how you can tell that that's a good sign that it's a good contractor. But then you also have to check and make sure that they have all their measurements correctly, because let's say if you just go and close the form, you didn't check it, you thought it was okay, but everything's at a level, then there's a problem. And then as far as builders, what I've noticed with some is that they don't really have an idea of inspections. They think that I can just go in there, do the foundation, you know, without no inspections, and you know, we're gonna be okay. So that's
not good, right? That's an easy way to make sure the project goes bad, right?
Yeah, so sometimes it's kind of like they want you to pour the concrete before the rebars even, their kind of thing, you know, it's not, yeah.
What's your favorite thing that you enjoy about the work that you do?
Well, what we enjoy is, I would say, the challenges in the foundations, because they're not all the time do you get foundations that are only 2 boards high, you know. I mean, there's times that we've done like 7 foot up to like 20 feet high forms. You know, something that's a challenge, you know, so something that's not easy. That's what we like, the challenge. We also really like the part where we pour the concrete, because that's honestly the hardest part of the foundation.
Oh, it's at the very end. The hardest part is actually the pouring the concrete.
Yeah, you don't have another chance unless you chip it out. So you got to make sure that at that point you have double checked and triple checked everything. So that's the part that we also probably like the most.
But yeah, I think a very wise word is double check, triple check, right? That's going to be the last time that you can do it without being labor intensive. All right, well, hey, Agustin, thanks for your time, man. We appreciate all the insights.
Okay, all right, Gama.
See ya.
Yep.